So, welcome. This is Dan, who has gone on to really exciting things. So, welcome. Lovely to chat with you. Okay, Dan, so tell us, what subjects did you do during your sixth form experience? Tell us a little bit about how they went.
Yeah, so I did A-level physics, A-level maths, and A-level computer science. Those were my full-time courses. And then I went on in the second year to do like a part-time engineering course. So I got like half of the diploma in the engineering course. And then I also did an EPQ in sustainable engineering in the second year. And that was
Wow.
really just to, yeah, boost my research skills. And because I knew that I wanted to apply for a degree apprenticeship from, yeah, sort of the end of the first year, I'd started looking at it. I really wanted to try, yeah, boost the things that I was doing so that I, yeah, sort of stood out from the crowd.
That's amazing. Those are really tough A levels to start with. I mean, that's incredible. Okay, and what led you towards the degree apprenticeships? Because you're on relatively traditional subjects and they are really academic. What did you ever think about the university versus apprenticeship idea?
Yeah, definitely. So I think sort of middle of first year to the end of first year is when I first heard about degree apprenticeships. I think yeah, it was sort of December time through the Reach course that they were sort of mentioned, and then that's when I started looking into them. I didn't actually decide whether I was going to do a degree apprenticeship until I started getting offers through. So I had applied for all of my universities, so done both courses because degree apprenticeships are quite competitive. You may not get in. So definitely having a backup is really important. Um, so yeah, it was a constant toss up between degree apprenticeship and university. But in the end, once I started looking into the degree that they offered you, the salary that you got alongside it, and the no student debt, that was the avenue I decided to go down when I got my offers through.
I love the fact that for you, uni was a backup. Like, that's pretty impressive. Okay, and then you had decided that you weren't going to go to university and you decided to go for apprenticeships. How did you even start? Because it seems a little bit of a minefield. UCAS is all in one place. It's kind of relatively, you kind of follow a set pattern. How did you start?
Yeah, no, to be honest, it was a bit of a nightmare. So if you just search up degree apprenticeships, the first thing that will come up is the government page. So that's where I started. I was obviously looking for an engineering degree apprenticeship because that's what I wanted to go into, but the government website provided very little guidance. It's not laid out well, not very user friendly. So I started looking by there, but very quickly learned that that wasn't the way that I was going to find a degree apprenticeship that I wanted to go into. So then I sort of took another approach, which is researching companies in the aerospace engineering field, sort of just seeing the companies out there, ones that are local to me, ones that are in the UK, and then looking at their early careers. Almost every company out there will have an early careers page, some sort of resource dedicated to early careers and degree apprenticeships, grad schemes, internships. So then that's where I sort of went down that avenue, like picking the companies that I was going to apply from
That's really
there.
helpful. And so, how many companies did you kind of have on your, let's say, kind of list?
Yeah, so I think I ended up applying for five of them. I think I had about seven or eight on my list, but yeah, ended up applying for five or six of them.
Which other ones did you choose?
So I had Airbus, that's the one that I'm currently in, BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce, GKN, MOD, Leonardo helicopters were on my list, but didn't end up going for them just because I didn't end up applying because of some of the things that they offered wasn't really in my interest. And then there was also a smaller company in Wales that I had seen, but once I sort of got into the degree apprenticeship, it's sort of like you were the only degree apprentice. It wasn't really what I wanted then, so didn't end up applying for them.
Okay, perfect. And then tell us a little bit about what was the process of applying? Because again, imagine you know nothing. What did you do?
Yeah, so they range. Different companies have different processes, although they all sort of follow the same sort of framework. It's sort of, yeah, really depends on the company, how big they are, the framework that they'll have. They have a specific window in which you've got to apply in. So they sort of tell you that window on the website. So I think most degree apprenticeships now start opening up in November time. And when they hit their quota for, when they hit their number for the number of applicants, they sort of just close them. Some will stay open until March, but it's best to start getting applications in September, October, November. So the process is that you will write a cover letter and CV. That will then go through like their internal scanning procedures. You then may be invited to do like an aptitude test. Airbus didn't have that, but I know BAE did, Rolls-Royce did, so you have to do an aptitude test. Based on your results from that, then you may be invited back for an interview or an assessment centre. And from the interview and assessment centre, then if you succeed in those, you will usually receive your job offer.
It sounds like pretty grueling though, because that's very similar to what a lot of students will go through after their degree. And actually, those are incredibly good tips, whether students are considering degree apprenticeships or going to uni and then applying for jobs, because all of that is exactly what students will be doing most of the time at 21. Because actually that aptitude test is what I had to do when I was applying for various things, assessment centres. I mean, I found them really intense, but that's really, really helpful. Okay, good. And then tell me a little bit about, you now are working for Airbus. So how does the degree apprenticeship even work?
So yeah, with many companies, you'll usually do your first year down in like, well, we did ours in Weston-super-Mare. So our degree apprenticeship supplier is University College Weston. Then there's one up in Gloucester, and that's Gloucester College. They do other companies up there. But yeah, we spent a full year down in Weston, sort of doing machining, so level 2 things, so like composites, machining, welding, sort of getting the idea of basics of engineering and also starting the degree. Degree apprenticeships are usually done over 4 or 5 years, so you'll get a bachelor's out of it most of the time. But yeah, because you're on the second year onward, you're on site part-time, and in uni part-time, they'll usually add a year on to the degree.
And that's quite interesting. So you've really hands-on, actually. That's fascinating. That's very cool. And then let's talk about salary in the kind of ballpark. So, and obviously you don't have to tell us, but what kind of salaries do students look at if they get a degree apprenticeship?
They really, really do range from company. I know when I was applying, Leonardo was down at the minimum wage sort of salary. So you're looking about 12, 13 grand. Airbus was sort of mid ballpark, about 21, I think it is now, 22. And then BAE were up at the 30,000 mark for first year grads, or for first year apprentices. But I would say definitely look into salary progression, because it turned out that BAE, when I was applying there, their salary was sort of stagnant. So you would start at 30,000 and then come off at 35. Airbus sort of work differently, where it was start at 20 and sort of you have quite large pay jumps.
Because let's imagine we know nothing. Tell us about Airbus.
So yeah, Airbus, I had never heard of them before, but I had definitely flown on a lot of their planes. So EasyJet, all the aircraft there are made by Airbus. They make A380s for Virgin Atlantic, which will take you across to America. They're one of the world's biggest aircraft suppliers alongside Boeing. So at the moment, it's really, really exciting, as there's this whole race for sustainable aerospace. The EU has got their targets. Everyone's demanding, they want to be more efficient, more sustainable. They want to operate as cheaply as they can with the best customer experience that they can. So we've got loads of requirements that we've got to try and fit into our product. So yeah, Airbus is really helping employees with that work that they are doing. There's a great work-life balance. They offer loads of benefits. You sort of got like reduced hours working week. So we work 35 hours a week. It's half day Friday. You can come in anywhere from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then leave anywhere from 2 until like 7 p.m. So it's really flexible. You can sort of make the day around you. And then on top of like yearly bonuses that are guaranteed for all employees and other benefits like that as well.
I might want to come work for Airbus. Sounds amazing. And where do you live when you're doing your degree apprenticeship?
So first year we were down in Weston-super-Mare, so we sort of lived down there in student accommodation. You're not on site too much in Airbus, although actually saying that now, they've now just signed a new contract, Western College, to come and do the teaching on the Airbus site. So all of the Bristol companies, so Rolls-Royce, GKN, MOD, Belcan, Airbus, they'll all be doing their learning on the Airbus site now. Yeah, I think that was based off of feedback from other years where you feel less connected to the company when you're down in Western full time.
Right.
So they've sort of taken that into account, and everyone's going to be up in Bristol now. So yeah, if you're applying, you will probably be living in Bristol.
That's really interesting. And now tell us, what has been the favourite thing? Have you got like friends on your course? What have been the real highlights for you of doing it this way?
Yeah, you make great friends. You are straight into the world of engineering. You've pretty much got a guaranteed job after the scheme. The companies pour so much money into you. I mean, we're seeing it this year. Airbus, I'm currently in landing gear in Airbus, and they're not taking on any graduates and investing more into degree apprentices because they figure if they can get people who are studying and working in the company for 4 years, that's much more of a benefit than having someone on a grad scheme for 2 years, because the apprentices have been in the company a little bit longer. They have that loyalty to the company, and they're really seeing a return on their investment with that.
It's really interesting. So it's fascinating that actually the company is seeing it as worthwhile for them to pay for your degree and pay for your salary, and that's a long-term and actually that's a net positive financially, because it does sound like they treat you really well. And how many kind of people are on the similar scheme to yourself? And is that the same with all companies, or are some companies just got a couple of apprentices?
Yeah, no, it really does vary. Airbus are one of the biggest degree apprenticeship suppliers in the Southwest. Currently on degree apprenticeships, we have about 47 in my cohort, and that's similar through all the cohorts. I know other companies have similar numbers, 20, really depends where you go. And yeah, it really does vary. You'll sort of have to ask that in the interview.
Yeah, and I imagine that would depend on the sector as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Engineering is like quite big for degree apprenticeships currently.
Okay, and then what have you done that you have been super proud of, that you kind of go, that was really exciting, or something you've done where you thought I was a real part of that?
So, I mean, there's lots of developments going on that I'm a part of. As a degree apprentice, a lot of companies, or especially Airbus, I can only talk from my experience, they really try to integrate you into the teams straight away. They treat you like a normal employee. You get the same workload as everyone else. So I've been on developments for the Airbus freighter, working on qualification evidence for parts that will actually go onto the aircraft and be certified to fly. And as an apprentice, you're like, how on earth am I doing this? But they they teach you everything. You really feel confident. They make you feel comfortable. They give you support when you need it. And also, let you take the reins if you feel like you can.
And I mean, clearly you were an outstanding candidate, so that's obvious. But I think I think the thing is, it is genuinely really tough to get degree apprenticeships. You also have to want to go into the world of work, because you are actually applying to be an employee of a company. So they have to really like you. What do you think it was, if you can blow your own trumpet, what was it that you think helped you stand out in the interview? Any kind of hints and tips you would say? Because to get a degree apprenticeship is harder than getting a degree. You know, the degree for you, as you said, was your backup. If we're talking about 20 degree apprenticeships and you have however many hundreds, thousands of students applying.
Yeah, definitely. So I think firstly, going into it with the view of you're applying for a job 3 or 4 years earlier than everyone else. So it's going to be a little bit easier than applying for a job when you go for a grad scheme. Grad schemes are really competitive because obviously everyone comes out of uni and needs a job. So going into it with that mindset, thinking I'm applying for a career here, is really important. You've sort of got to talk to people who've applied for jobs, and you'll use many of the same skills that they do. You just may not have the technical knowledge, which is the company expects, and they're absolutely fine. So although you may lack the technical knowledge, they want to see that you're super passionate. Do your research on the company. That's probably the most important point. I've now been asked to read CVs for other cohorts, and it's just so clear when someone has used the same covering letter across all companies. And it's not something that employers want to see. They want to see that you've done research about the company, you know where they're heading in the future, you know what their goals are, you know what they stand for, and you're on board with all of that. You want to take that as a part of you and join the company and align with what their top company objectives are.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that is absolutely vital, particularly with the rise of AI. Actually, it is really obvious if it is just a kind of very similar AI generated. Whereas actually, I think what I would say to the students who are considering apprenticeships is, and we're actually going to encourage our students to do this, is to create an Excel spreadsheet with, let's say, the 10 employers they want to go for. This could either be for their degree or for their degree apprenticeship, or they could use this for jobs. But actually to find the kind of 10 employers they want to work for, put down their core values, what are their plans as companies, and actually put them in the spreadsheet. The other thing I think that you've said earlier that is really important to note is that some degree apprenticeships open and they send you the email saying, right, our apprenticeship scheme has opened at 9 a.m, and then they get so many applications, they just close it at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying. So they might say this might be open for a couple of months, but actually if they get all the applications they want, it can be like that. So I think actually to be a degree apprentice, you have to be super organized. That is what you are saying underneath all of that, that you had a cover letter for every single company, that you really tailored it to their core values. You looked at where the companies were going. And actually that's really important for students to kind of hear the things you just kind of listed off, the things to do, but actually all of that took a lot of research and a lot of organization. So that drive to have a career, that's also really helpful. Okay, and if you were to say, looking back at yourself at sixth form, what would you have said to yourself if you'd had a bad patch or things had been difficult, or what would your hints and tips be for students at Hereford now?
So in terms of academics, these companies are wanting you to be very academically capable, but they understand that A levels aren't what make engineers. They're not what make engineers. Your grades on a piece of paper, the curriculum is so narrow, it doesn't really show that you're going to be a great engineer. They're really looking for you to be passionate, but also to just be proactive. Like if you found something interesting in a subject, go and research it and show that you've done that little bit of extra research. If you end up not getting great grades, but meet the grade criteria, just show how you're really passionate about the subject, how you're able to learn. They want to see that you can be taught things. No one doing their A levels is going to come into an engineering company and not have to learn anything. Everyone always has to learn everything. And that's what the company really wants to see, is they want to see that you're teachable. If that's something that you struggle with, work on that skill.
I think that's also really helpful. So to be teachable, it's almost as if when you do find things difficult, it's about what you did with that. Did you ever have a moment during your time at sixth form where you were like, this is really tough?
Oh, 100%. In first year, first year physics, I think I was performing at a grade D, and like really got worried because I knew that engineering was what I wanted to go into. It was, really tough. I came from a school in Wales, obviously coming to the English curriculum, I found it a big jump. I was really worried, but it's sort of taking that then in your stride, doing resits if you need to, learning what you need to, and just really knowing that it's going to be for a short period of time. If you knuckle down with it now, then it will really benefit you in the future.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Dan. This has been absolutely fantastic, and this has provided a brilliant guide for students. And we'll be doing a follow-up one, obviously, about the real specifics of what is an assessment centre. And that is going to be vital for anyone who wants to get that degree apprenticeship. Thank you so much, Dan. See you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Vicky.
Bye.